snatched by God before Christ's death. Various religious groups create different concepts, and then they need to keep those concepts above what the Bible says, which is a big problem. One of these concepts is that man cannot be caught up to God before Christ's death and resurrection. But we can read in Hebrews 11:5, in that verse it says that Enoch was caught up to God, so as not to see death. And where does Paul refer to the fact? The fact is mentioned in Genesis 5:24, in which God would have taken Enoch for himself. The union of these two verses, between the New Testament and the Old Testament, defines the basis and explanation that God has the doctrinal possibility of having individuals who are alive and have been raptured. So many religious groups based on their doctrinal creations try to nullify the clear concepts of the Scriptures, which would end up saying that the Scriptures are false, and the doctrines they created are true, which is irrational, because then the doctrines would be created from another book, other than the Bible. Another fact is Elias. We read in 2 Kings 2:11 that Elias was taken in a chariot of fire, by a whirlwind, towards the heavens. Notably, we have already seen that Enoch was translated, and now we see that Elijah was translated. Any definition to the contrary would be to cancel what is written. We can still see in the book of Matthew 17:3 that Moses and Elijah were talking to Jesus. Such a scene is still mentioned in the books of Marcos and Lucas. What we see is that it is possible to be taken up into heaven before Christ's death and resurrect. Is it possible to be resurrected before Christ's death? Before Christ's death we have several resurrections. For example, Elisha resurrects a child. We read this in the book of the 1 Kings 17:22, in which Elijah asks God, and a child lives again. We can also read in 2 Kings 8:1, in which Elisha now works for a child to be resurrected. So we have to resurrection is to make a dead person alive. Reading in Kings 13:21 we have that after Elisha died, a man was thrown into Elisha's grave, and that man was revived. Which clearly demonstrates that there may be a resurrection before Jesus resurrects. Jesus himself resurrected several people. On the basis that once risen, the person is now alive, and that the living have been raptured, then any living by the will of God can be raptured. Thus, by biblical rules, every living man can be raptured, as long as God so desires. Usually some religious groups create doctrines that go against divine omnipotence, limiting God. In fact, if we read in Revelations 13:8 that the Lamb, which represents Christ, has been killed since the foundation of the world. Soon Jesus is the first to be resurrected since the foundation of the world. We can also read, in Revelations 17:8, that the names of men have been written in the book of life since the foundation of the world, which suggests that the saved are already written in the book of life since the foundation of the world. The set of all texts determines that both the resurrection of men and the rapture are facts that have occurred, and that are in accordance with biblical foundations, for Christ was killed since the foundation of the world, and the book of life has names written since the foundation of the world. Thus, a man alone could not be resurrected, if such a man existed before the foundation of the world. But since all men only exist after the foundation of the world, then any man can be resurrected, and any living man can be taken up to God.
If you are looking for more content from different areas, visit the reformadorstad.com website. News and detailed content can be found with system of research and organization of text and video.